The Kasambahay law, which was passed last year, has finally taken effect last month. The new law aims to protect and promote fair and decent working conditions for all household employees. However, many employers were alarmed of the many provisions in the Kasambahay law, especially the provision indicating that all employers are mandated to register and pay for the monthly contributions of their kasambahays.
Ever since I got married, meron na akong maid kasi I was working at that time. So I have to have a maid to take care of my child and also to take care of the household. Okay naman para sa akin yung kasambahay law. Wala ang problema dun sa 3,000 peso minimum wage para dito sa NCR. Ang ano ko lang, yung protection naman ng mga employers even before this Kasambahay Act took effect. I was asking my helpers na kung gusto nilang ng PhilHealth, SSS, okay daw. I was even willing to pay for their share. Kaya lang, yung isa sa mga requirement to be a member of PhilHealth is, they should provide, the helper should provide the birth certificate. Wala silang maibigay sa akin. Paano yun? Kung walang maiprovide yung mga helpers ng birth certificate. Kasi sabi ng isang helper ko, nasa nanay daw niya. Parang it's unfair. Paano yung sa mga kasambahay na hindi naman tumutupad sa contract?
What does the Kasambahay law state? What should employers be aware of when it comes to the rights of their kasambahays? Does the Kasambahay law provide protection to the employers of household employees?
Good evening, I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno and you are watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you.
And I'm Attorney Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will be discussing your legal rights on the issue of the Kasambahay law, what you need to know and understand about this new law and what you need to do as an employer of domestic workers.
Tonight, we have with us Ms. Cecilia Oybanda, President of the Visayan Forum Foundation, Incorporated. She was part of the team that drafted the bill and its IRR. The Visayan Forum lobbied this bill in Congress until it was passed by both houses. Good evening and thank you for being with us.
Good evening, Ms. Cecil.
Rod, I was so excited about having Ms. Cecil here. I'm actually a fan of hers.
Yes.
If you remember in CNN, you're the fighter.
Yes.
You advocate on against human trafficking with Mr. Congressman Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
It was Ms. Cecil.
You are one of the fighters, and we are honored to have you. In fact, I was reading about what you've done, and this Kasambahay law is very close to my heart, and as well as my wife's as well, because it's something that's this cause for mga kasambahay, our helpers, is something that I think it was long overdue to begin with. And I think you passed this law, or you didn't pass this law, but you proposed this bill back in 1996, right?
Yeah, actually the Visayan Forum started to work on this bill in 1994. It takes us sometimes actually to find someone really to champion the bill.
Just almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years, yeah.
Why did it take that long, you think, Mrs.?
Well, because it is the first time that the issues actually tackle. Yeah, the domestic worker issue is seen and perceived as a very personal issues. And these are the issues that a lot of people don't want to touch. So it takes the Visayan Forum really to advocate and people to understand that this sector indeed is very important to our life, because they help us construct our home. They help us in establishing the core values of our families, our children.
Yes. I was raised, of course, by kasambahays. Kaya it's also very close to my heart. And so, Cecil, would you say that the provisions of the labor code before were very insufficient to protect the interests of the kasambahays?
It's not only for me insufficient, but also very abusive.
Abusive? In what way? Like what provisions can you cite?
Well, first is that even the salary there is only 1,000 pesos.
So before it's 1,000 pesos per month?
Per month, you know, and then...
It's almost like slave labor, you know?
It is, and of course, it's not in the protection. There's no really articulation in terms of social protection. There's no also enough safeguard of their rights. So that's why personally I really offer my life to fight for that.
Yeah. So not a lot of I guess Filipinos we don't realize how blessed we are that we actually have people, our countrymen na
it's something that
nagkasambahay,
I
diba?
realized more when I had to live in the US
same
and
here.
do all the chores myself.
Yeah.
Talagang you
I
really
was-
realize how much they contribute to your life.
Yeah.
And Ms. Cecil, when you mentioned 1,000 pesos before under the labor code, yung minimum wage, now under the new law, ano yung mga minimum wage for the kasambahays?
It is now actually 2,500 for the NCR.
Oo, so it's still not that big, no?
Still not that
2,500
big,
pesos
yeah.
for NCR.
But in fact, the prevailing market, it's not really 2,500, it's 3,000.
3,000.
3,000 a month.
Yeah.
But in other regions po, how
Other
much
regions
is
is around 2,000 and 1,500.
1,500 is for what region?
I think it's more on the fourth-class municipalities.
I see.
Okay.
And
Now,
cities.
one of the important provisions in this law for me, is including them in the system of Social Security, SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth. Would you like to expound on that and what are the
I'm
duties?
sure a lot of our
Yeah.
viewers na may kasambahays don't even know na starting from the time this law became effective, kailangan kasama na sa SSS, Pag-ibig yun.
Yes.
Yes.
First and foremost, I would like to express that having social protections of domestic worker is not only an advantage of the domestic worker, but also an advantage for the employers. Because it beyond the obligation of the employers, it's a responsibility of the state to provide those services, right? So the Batas Kasambahay is not only actually address the responsibility of employer, but the responsibility of the state. So I think for having the social protections that they deserve, it requires the state to open program. To provide that program so that they can enjoy that. In a practical side, whether we like it or not as an employer, if our domestic workers get sick or whatever, we spend for it. But having the SSS now, actually the total contribution, I think more likely it's around, with the SSS, with PhilHealth, with the Pag-ibig, is around 350
350
pesos a month
Not
with
much.
the domestic worker with the salary of 5,000.
Yes.
Meaning, lower pa yun, di ba?
Lower pa yun
It's
if-
lower pa
if it's,
yun, yeah.
I mean, for a
I think, so, here, sa law, parang if you are not giving your employees, your kasambahays, a minimum wage of 5,000 pesos per month,
Yes.
then ikaw yung magbibigay sa SSS,
Yes.
PhilHealth, ng contributions. Pero
Yeah.
if you pay them at
More.
least 5,000 pesos or more, you can deduct the
Yes.
contributions from their salary.
Yes,
Now,
yeah.
to give that a proper perspective, for the price of 2 frappuccinos or coffee, you
Ang
basically
mahal ng
are gonna
coffees
cover. You're gonna cover
whole.
really, a whole.
Their yung
Yes,
benefits nila.
the benefits,
Health,
yeah.
yeah.
I think the discussion and the debate now is just really the idea of giving their protection. Parang ang laki-laki, di ba? Pero if we really dig it, maybe what we are talking about here is around 2,500 cup pang cappuccino, di ba?
Yes.
And then, and the law itself say that in the IRR that if the domestic worker is actually earning around 5,000 and above, 70% of this contribution goes to the employers and 30% for contribution ng domestic worker. No?
I
So,
see.
so ibig sabihin, parang for me, practical wise, no? Parang pang taxi.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
Absolutely.
I think we need the help of Ms. Cecil to answer a few questions
Yeah,
from
sure.
our viewers. Our first question is from Samantha, and she is asking us via Twitter. I am a new mother and am looking for a nanny for my child. What requirements should I ask from nannies and maids who are applying for the position? So, ito yung mga requirements. Nakalist na siya ngayon, di ba,
Yes.
sa Kasambahay Law?
Yeah, what are the requirements?
Siguro parang for the talagang malaliman, you can visit the Department of Labor website. No?
The
the
DOL website.
All the requirements
nandun na
are
po
there.
yung requirements. But you're right, you need really to be more particular in looking on those requirements for your own protection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the new IIR, it requires the domestic worker to submit medical,
Yeah, I saw kailangan mo ng medical certificate.
Tapos police clearance,
yes, NBI clearance.
Any of that, yeah.
Yes, so, but these are, of course, not mandatory, diba? So, kunwari, if you're a person hiring a kasambahay and you do not require these documents, or the kasambahay does not submit them, but you still hire them, you're not violating any law.
Yeah,
They're
it's
just
more for the
recommended.
recommended for the protection of the employer.
Yes, but for me, it's really good if you require this. Yeah, because in the first place, you need also to know more about your kasambahay.
Yes, that's right.
The background.
Yeah,
So,
the NBI clearance.
yeah, so go and require it, for your own protection.
All right. Now, moving on to our next question. Our next question is from Tina. And she asks, from what I understood about the Kasambahay law from news reports, it states that we should provide an employment contract for the maids we would be hiring. What should the contract state, and in what format? What about the term or the terms of employment? Is there a simple contract wherein which we can copy? I think we were discussing this off the air earlier. There is a form that they can get.
There's already a form. You can download it actually to the Department of Labor website.
So it's really in the Department of Labor website, and you can download it.
Yes, even the payslip, nandun na rin siya. Lahat po ng kailangan natin nandun na. And I think, sooner or later, you can access it also to the barangays. So, mayroon po ng nakapormat na kailangan natin tingnan at sundin.
And just for our televiewers, convenience, what are the basics there? At least 2,500.
Yes.
If you're
salary,
in NCR, yes.
And they have to cover their pag-ibig, their SSS, and PhilHealth.
Yes.
Right?
And of course, nandoon yung provision for day offs. Nandoon din po, yung pinaka-importante nandoon sa contract is yung obligations. Yung obligation ng both parties. So, nandun siya. So, I think it's better talaga na titingnan natin yun.
And there should be at least one day off in a week?
Yes, one day off.
124-hour day off.
day
And I remember seeing in the law yung mandatory rest period.
Yes.
Kasi nga naman, di ba, yung mga kasambahay, they're on call the whole day. Minsan kahit kung
If you have
gising
a
ka
party
11, sila rin. But I think nandun sa kasambahay law ngayon, you have to give them at least 8 hours straight na rest.
Yeah, kasi maraming ang practice na kung minsan yung kasambahay, mga 3 hours lang yung tulog, 4 hours lang yung tulog.
Yes.
So, hindi din sila makaka-serve the next day. So, and of course, as a worker, we need really to observe also these basic rights.
Yes. Our next question is from our Twitter page, and this is one from Carla, and she asks, does the law state the minimum wages domestic workers should receive? How much is considered as a fair salary? So this is something that we've been talking about, no?
Earlier, no?
Yes, for me...
Maybe we can run down ulit. Ano yung mga minimum wage?
The minimum wage in the NCR is 2,500. In other cities and municipalities, it's 2,500. For other chartered...
2,000 pesos, yung other cities and municipalities.
Yes.
So 2,500 for NCR.
2,000
for
2,000
other cities and municipalities.
Sorry. Okay. And then sa mga iba pa municipalities like 4-class municipalities is 1,500.
1,500
So
pesos.
definitely you can raise that. And please remember that benchmark lang yun. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya pwedeng bumaba doon. Pwede
Which
siya
is
tumaas.
an interesting question. Paano kung before this law was passed, you were already giving your kasambahays a minimum wage of 4,000 pesos a month. Pag pass ng law, you cannot reduce that suddenly to 2,500, right? Because you will be also violating yung provision doon that says you cannot reduce benefits that you were already giving before the law was passed.
Now, just to clarify, there's no withholding tax here. There's no VAT, right?
No.
Hindi ka pwede mag-deduct sa maid mo at sabihin mo na, okay, babawasan ko na 12% VAT.
Actually, we are advocating to give more incentives sana din sa mga employers to follow all this, you know. So, let's see, it's still on the pipeline of discussion.
Yes. So more to discuss, no? After a break. Let's take a short break. Legal Help Desk will return after these reminders. You are still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News Channel, and we are still joined by our guest, Ms. Cecilia Oibanda of the Visayan Forum Foundation Incorporated. So thank you for still being with us today.
Cecilia, yan. So again, for the sake of our televiewers, she's considered one of the fighters, di ba? In CNN. And then
featured in
CNN. And championing, of course, the cause of the Kasambahay. I have a quick question. Does this cover drivers?
No.
It doesn't cover drivers?
Yeah, no, hindi sila kasama dito.
Any particular reason why?
Well, kasi ang mga drivers, medyo mataas na talaga yung kanilang standard salaries.
Alright.
So, hindi sila kasama, hindi din dito kasama yung mga, yung mga caregivers.
Caregivers din, yeah. I guess it's not the same situation din kasi. But another question I have would be, yung terms of employment, in a sense na, pwede ka bang mag-agree na to give a specific number of years, yung kunwari 3 years, and what grounds can the kasambahay invoke or the employer invoke to say na, okay, we will not observe the 3 years, na 1 year pa lang, then you fire the kasambahay, for instance?
Well, actually, doon sa IIR, there's a section there articulating the grounds of terminations. No? So
can you
in
give
both
us examples?
Parties, one, of course, for the employer to terminate is the ground of parang fraud. Mayroon ding ground ng habitual na hindi paggawa ng trabaho.
May nakita ko na may word din na it was kind of similar to grounds for dismissal sa labor code for regular employees. Pero meron parang nakasingit na word doon, di ba? Merong willful disobedience.
Yes.
Pero pa inefficiency. So, I guess kung inefficient yung maid mo, yung kasambahay, then it's also a ground for dismissal.
Yes.
But how much notice does the employer have to give the kasambahay?
I think
before
it's 15 or
15 days.
15 days.
But of course, if it's a question of, let's say,
security problems,
trust.
Yes, trust.
Let's say there was something that was stolen, and you had reason to believe it was in her bag, it was in her closet. Can you terminate her right away?
Yes, but beyond actually the termination, you have also your opportunity to go beyond that provision, but filing criminal at civil case, di ba?
But can you let her go immediately?
So.
Can you?
But I think we need also to observe proper
due process.
Now you have to investigate,
hear
her side.
Give her the opportunity.
Yung isa pa po, Ms. Cecil, would be yung provision on kailan nila ma-forfeit yung trinabaho na nilang days pag bigla silang umalis or nag-alsabalutan. Di ba that happens? Sometimes bigla silang mawawala, aalis na lang bigla. But then, of course, sometimes nagtrabaho na sila for like 20 days or 2 weeks sa bahay nyo. And I think the law mentions kung how much they will forfeit yung sweldo na hindi mo na kailangang ibayad even if they worked.
Yes, 15 days.
15 days.
So,
for instance, but if they've worked for 20 days, kahit bigla silang umalis, you still have to pay the 5 days.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
But I think it's, kasi yung sa contract din, mayroon din siyang provision doon na pwede may sarili kayong agreement So what you have is just really the form.
It's the minimum required by law.
And then you can add something there.
Now there's also provision on debt bondage. They're not.
Yes.
You are not supposed to
impose
on them a debt bondage. But sometimes, and it has happened to me several times where your helpers they ask for an advance. Magbabali sila, no? And you then provide them with a payment term where you will deduct maybe over a period of 10 months or 12 months deduction of their advance. Is that possible?
It is possible, I think. It's because it's between agreement of what party. Ang sinasabi lang kasi ng debt bondage is that kinuhold mo siya, na hindi mo siya ina-allow to leave, based on your
and I think what it says there is that if you do not account for it, meaning sinasabi mo lang kasi may utang ka pa, bawal ka
umalis. So,
but pag binabawas mo naman, I think that's okay.
Yes, as long that you have really a very clear agreement about it.
Okay, let's continue answering some questions. Our lines are burning. A lot of questions. Now, April is asking via Twitter, is it okay if I deduct, if I deduct the money I used to buy the fare tickets of the 2 domestic workers from the province, is there anything in the law that says that I can or can't do this. Sometimes kasi you import them from provinces.
Yeah.
And
that's what actually Ms. Cecil was saying. I said, bakit sa Visayan Forum nagsimula tong bill na to? Sabi niya, it's because actually a lot of the Kasambahays come from the Visayas region. So, pwede ba yun?
Can I deduct that? Her
transportation
yes,
bale.
I think in the law it's really articulated that recruitment expenses, it's a charge as an employer.
Okay. So you cannot do that.
You cannot.
You should tell our viewer na nagtanong, you cannot deduct the fare tickets from the salary of your kasambahay.
Hindi po pwede.
Now, I know this is going to be a rare situation, but for example, you're importing someone from, hindi naman siguro mangyari yan.
Abroad?
For example, from abroad. Let's just say that nasanay ka na. Let's say you're an expat and you got used to your helper and she was from Indonesia. You have to cover.
You cover all the recruitment expenses.
Okay. And our next question is from Cassandra, and she's asking, for the past 7 months, one of the maids we've employed has been taking advantage of our family, especially our aging parents, to the point of being abusive. Some of the things she has done includes answering back at my parents and us, their children. During her day off, she leaves for days, sometimes weeks, and returns only when she pleases. And I suspect she has been stealing money from my parents because there have been instances when sums of money would go missing. I want to fire her, but with the Kasambahay law, I am not sure if my reasons are valid, and instead she might twist the law and use it against us. Are my reasons valid to terminate her services with us, and what laws protect the rights of employers like us? Okay, very long question. But I think yung sinasabi niya, it's also for the protection of the employers.
Yes,
so,
it's a valid ground for just cause for termination.
With respect to of course, obviously yung answering back, it's blatant in front of them. It's one of the grounds for dismissal under the Kasambahay law.
I think the fact na parang nagki-create siya ng ganong klaseng tension sa family, I think it's a valid ground.
And then with the stealing,
I think you mentioned,
yes, but they have to give her due process in a sense
definitely.
na kailangan nilang ipa-explain siya, no?
Well, now, what specific provisions, Mama, are really geared towards protecting the employer, apart from the right to terminate and the grounds for termination? Are there specific provisions that also protect the employer?
Well, I think there are three for me as an employer, because I'm also an employer. One, of course, is having require a pre-employment requirements.
Ito yung tinanong din kanina na in-answer at the questions. That would be like NBI clearance, medical certificates, siguro to make sure na wala ring madadalang sakit, no?
Yes, that's part of that. Second, of course, is in the contract. You know, yung violation ng contract. And third, there is a provision in the law, parang yung respect ng privacy ng mga employers.
That's a very interesting provision. I saw that na they're required to keep confidential yung information na masasagap nila while they're in your employ.
Very important.
It is. So
they cannot divulge, no? Whatever information they gather.
Yeah, so I think that one is really for the protection of employers.
Now, for those who helpers who feel that they're being abused, and is there a hotline? Which government office can they go?
Yes, so they can, of course, call to the Department of Labor, and they can also contact Visayan Forum. Our number is 709-0711.
So there's a hotline.
So we have a hotline that you can call.
Do you have a website?
Yes, we have also a website, www.visayanforum.org. And of course, we have the Facebook. You can also report in the Facebook.
Your Facebook page is what's
Visayan Forum
Foundation. Okay. Well, speaking of Facebook, Troy from Facebook is asking, if I paid SSS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth for Kasambahay, I paid it all myself without asking any share from my Kasambahay. Can I claim these as expenses, or is it allowed as a tax deduction?
No, nagka-tax question.
We are actually working on that.
Okay,
and
so
that's
currently,
a very, very good point.
Currently, yung SSS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth, you cannot deduct it from their salary, right? You cannot deduct it from your Kasambahay salary unless you're paying a wage of at least 5,000 pesos and up. Pero kung tax deductible siya, course, Ms. Cecil is saying, hindi pa, no, under our tax code, but you're working on a bill?
Yeah, working and lobbying it for that.
That's wonderful.
Like an addendum?
Yeah, maybe.
Addendum?
Yeah.
All right. Now, is there anything else? Any final message? Will be running out of time, unfortunately. Anything else that you would like to add to this discussion on the Kasambahay law?
Well, I would like to say please give the Batas Kasambahay a chance. I know that everybody is quite afraid or, medyo takot tayo dito.
Kasi everyone is affected.
Affected, but I think instead of feeling that, we need to be proud that the Philippines is actually...
I'm proud that it finally passed. Quick question on penalties. If you don't follow it, what are the
very
penalties?
important.
The minimum is 10,000. 10,000.
It's a fine, right?
It's a fine, 10,000 to 40,000.
Yeah, to 40,000. So for viewers out there, if you violate any of the provisions of the Kasambahay law, kunwari, hindi nyo binibigay yung minimum wage, or you don't give them at least 8 hours of consecutive 8 hours rest per day, then you can be fined between 10,000 pesos to 40,000 pesos.
Yes.
Keep that in mind. Without prejudice to whatever.
Civil and criminal cases.
Civil and probably criminal if you're physically abused.
Yeah, kasi criminal cases, di ba? If you're physically abusive, pwede rin kayong makulong because of physical injuries. Yes.
Yeah, but I believe that that Batas Kasambahay is really for both parties. Tsaka at the end of the day, I think who's really benefiting this is our household, it's our children, because it improves the life of domestic worker. So they'll be getting educated, they are more protected. So don't see it as a threat, sa atin ng mga employer, but we just give it a chance.
And sorry, last, I just want to emphasize yung about education.
That's a
the
good
law
point.
also says you're required to let them pursue education if they want, right?
Yes, but beyond that, I think it's more really on the state to provide that opportunity so that it can be more accessible to both employers and the domestic workers.
All right. Okay. Wow, there's a lot more to discuss. I'm sure we'll probably be talking off the air, but unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. We'd like to thank our guest, Ms. Cecilia Oibanda, President of the Visayan Forum Foundation, for being with us tonight. I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Join us again next Monday as we discuss your legal rights. Good night.
The Kasambahay law, which was passed last year, has finally taken effect last month. The new law aims to protect and promote fair and decent working conditions for all household employees. However, many employers were alarmed of the many provisions in the Kasambahay law, especially the provision indicating that all employers are mandated to register and pay for the monthly contributions of their Kasambahay.
The helper should provide the birth certificate. Wala silang maibigay sa akin. Paano yun? Kung walang ma-provide yung mga helpers ng birth certificate. Kasi sabi ng isang helper ko, nasa nanay daw niya. Parang it's unfair. Paano yung sa mga kasambahay na hindi naman tumutupad sa contract?
What does the Kasambahay law state? What should employers be aware of when it comes to the rights of their kasambahays? Does the Kasambahay law provide protection to the employers of household employees?
Good evening, I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno and you are watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you.
And I'm Attorney Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will be discussing your legal rights on the issue of the Kasambahay law, what you need to know and understand about this new law and what you need to do.
Ever since I got married, meron na akong maid kasi I was working at that time. So I have to have a maid to take care of my child and also to take care of the household. Okay naman para sa akin yung Kasambahay law. Wala ang problema dun sa 3,000 peso minimum wage para dito sa NCR. Ang ano ko lang, yung protection naman ng mga employers even before this Kasambahay Act took effect. I was asking my helpers na kung gusto nilang mag-ano ng PhilHealth, SSS, okay daw. I was even willing to pay for their share. Kaya lang, yung isa sa mga requirement to be a member of PhilHealth is, they should
begin with. And I think you passed this law, or you didn't pass this law, but you proposed this bill back in 1996, right?
Yeah, actually the Visayan Forum started to work on this bill in 1994. It takes us sometimes actually to find someone really to champion the bill.
So it's almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years, yeah. Almost
why did it take that long, you think, Mrs.?
Well, because it is the first time that the issues actually tackle. Yeah, the domestic worker issue is seen and perceived as a very personal issues. Yeah. And these are the issues that a lot of people don't want to touch. So it takes the Visayan Forum really to advocate and people to understand that this sector indeed is very important to our life, because they help us construct our home. They help us in establishing
as an employer of domestic workers.
Tonight we have with us Ms. Cecilia Oybanda, President of the Visayan Forum Foundation Incorporated. She was part of the team that drafted the bill and its IRR. The Visayan Forum lobbied this bill in Congress until it was passed by both houses. Good evening and thank you for being with us.
Good evening, Ms. Cecil.
Rod, I was so excited about having Ms. Cecil here. I'm actually a fan of hers.
Yes.
If you remember in CNN, you're the fighter.
Yes.
You advocate on against human trafficking with Mr. Congressman Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
It was Ms. Cecil.
You are one of the fighters, and we are honored to have you. In fact, I was reading about what you've done, and this Kasambahay law is very close to my heart, and as well as my wife's as well, because it's something that's this cause for mga Kasambahay, our helpers, is something that I think it was long overdue.